Welcome,
Yeah,
everybody, because this episode is going to be a doozy. If you have not heard the information before, what you're going to hear today, if you still plan on voting for Kamala Harris after this, you have mental, emotional, and serious spiritual issues wrong with you. And I don't think anything will ever solve that. I think you're a lost cause, and you are hellbound to be stupid for life.
A remedial human being type person.
Yeah.
Yep.
For those of you who do watch Too Strong, you will remember that we had an exclusive interview with a man named Othello Johnson. Now, Othello Johnson came to us with an unbelievable story of such corruption in the government that people thought, at least we did, we thought, and whatever, this can't be real. It can't be true. It's untrue. And then he pulled out receipts. Everybody knows we love receipts, and he had receipts upon receipts upon receipts. And I mean court records, court documents, filings, citations, dates, names. When I say this man had names, he had names of, and he was not holding back any name. Everybody he had interaction with, he dropped the names of.
Wow.
There was no holding back, nothing. Even to where he had a tie-in involving him and the Vegas shooter, if you remember him. It's quite an immense story, but all provable by documents. Up to you to believe or not believe, but what we're going to show you has been verified by the people that we need to talk to, that it is indeed court cases that are going on. So it's not just him speaking and not doing anything about it. I will tell you this, it is very disheartening. It is angering. We are waiting for the child to turn a certain age for him to tell his own story. And when that happens, you'll get to hear from him. But in the interim, we'll be doing a live response to this video that he spoke about Kamala Harris. And we'll also discuss a couple other things that have to do with who the real Kamala Harris actually is, aside from the fact that she's not black. We'll be talking about all of that. Somebody I saw on the news, someone told her that she was the original Hawk Tour girl. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
I mean, where's the lie?
I mean, and he said it like live. Like,
it just came right out. I love the fact that he just said it so naturally. It felt good.
Yeah.
But is it a lie? That's the question.
No.
Like, is it a lie? Like, it's not.
Not at all.
It's true.
All stinking true. So this is the video. We're gonna play, and then if you guys have questions of what he says, stop. I'll stop when I have questions as well. And if you guys want to give any dialogue about what he said, just let me know and I'll pause it. But we'll watch. This is Othello Johnson's statement about Kamala Harris, the so-called woman running for president of the United States.
Kamala Harris was the Attorney General at the time after I was falsely incarcerated. The false incarceration came as part of the kidnapping and child sex trafficking. What they do is they falsely incarcerate the parent in order to take the child. So she was part of this whole process. After being falsely arrested, you can't be transferred from one state to another without the Attorney General of that state and that state organization reviewing your case before you're sent to that other state, because I'm a resident of Nevada at this time. In order to make that happen, Kamala Harris had to sign off on my extradition papers to say that I was indeed guilty of the crime of child abduction. Child abduction in the state of California is under the PC 278.5 law. That law says you can't be arrested or charged with child abduction if you're a victim of domestic violence and you have full custody of your child. Because I have full custody of my child and a victim of domestic violence, Kamala Harris fraudulently signed those extradition papers. Kamala Harris has been personal friends with the federal kidnapper. Not only personal friends, but business associates, golf team partners. with the federal kidnapper, who happened to be her union boss, who was the vice chair of California State Employees Union, Pamela Robertson. They've been friends, so it wasn't an accident. You know, she intentionally signed that paperwork, knowing 100% that I was the custodial parent and that I was a victim of domestic violence, because it's all documented on Sacramento County records.
Now,
yeah, I was gonna say that's interesting.
Like I said, the paperwork he has, it's not just him talking. We did look into what he just said about it being on record, and it is. That's the crazy part. All the stuff he talked about has been verified. Now, his reasons as to why he thinks this has happened, that's the only part that's unverified. But the fact that it happened, all verified. The time it happened, yes, Kamala was in charge, and she was the one that would have had to do exactly what he said, which was to overlook the case. And he had to have certain criteria met before she would have to sign off. And if it didn't meet, she couldn't sign off on it legally. But she still signed off on it illegal at the behest of the person that was her friend.
Because it's interesting, because like most people know, it is nearly impossible for a man to get full custody of a child unless the mother is really messed up.
She was.
Like, it's especially in California.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to remind you, we're talking about Nevada and California. Like, that doesn't happen by accident. I just want to remind people of that.
She was a drunk junkie and a drinking addict. Okay, so there was all proven. She was caught with the kid going 100 and something miles an hour in the car, drunk. And that was the final nail in the coffin, that they handed the kid off to him. So while she was still in the picture in terms of he wanted the kid to know mom, she was not in the custodial realm because of her actions.
Right. So how did the case come about? That's my question. Is like, so if she wasn't had any rights to the child, how was he labeled as an abductor as a custodial parent?
That is where John Walsh comes in. Okay, so let me so 3 other names that are work here that Kamala had to work with. Here are the names: John Walsh, the lady that he spoke about, and Barack Obama. Now, the other person that Barack was working on behalf of was a man named Kevin Johnson. If you guys don't know who Kevin Johnson was, he was a basketball player, but he was running for mayor of Sacramento at the time. And he and the mother that was unworthy of being a mom had a relationship at the time. And the mother of the mother was dating John Walsh. And so what they wanted was a way for the child to get custody. They wanted to get custody of the child in order for him to be trafficked.
Right. Okay.
So the best way to do it was to get rid of the father. And so he made the call into Barack. Barack made the call into Kamala. Case was started. He was already in Las Vegas. And again, then that other half of the situation is even more crazy. Anyway, they managed to extradite him back to California for arrest. And
that's the question I don't understand. Is like, how could they charge him for abduction when he was a custodial parent in the first place? How did they? What legal?
There is no legal
jumps did they make?
They didn't have to make any. All they had to paint him was that absentee and ignore the fact that he was under the registry as an abused parent. They ignored that completely. And again, all of that's in his filings that they had to supersede in order for him to be brought back. But don't forget that she was DA. The same way she was able to keep people past their sentences, and the same way she was able to use people as slave labor while in prison, all of those are illegal. She still managed to pull them off and never served any time or was punished for it. It's the same way they did it this way. They just have to ignore certain paperworks, and there you go. Game. You're muted.
Well, there's also the kickbacks that she would receive from it, because I recall, well, one, the fact that she kept people beyond their sentencing, and 2, I believe there's like the state prison is paid between $39,000 to $42,000 a head for every prisoner, and annually, mind you, per head annually, and then there's her kickback right there. So for her to then put this guy, it's just another extra buck in the pocket for her.
Yes,
extra silver lining for her. So
a lot of courts have invested financial stakes in private prisons. Like a lot of them hold stocks in those businesses.
One is not even the prison situation as much as it is a very specific target person. Now, because of the people involved in it, and in order, now here's the thing: as people might wonder why Kevin Johnson, because if Kevin Johnson got in, he would be pushing the same plan as what Barack would have wanted. They all would. You have to remember that the political lines are what are being drawn here. Now, if you're wondering why this guy in particular is not just a girlfriend, he had a course that he was running for at-risk youth to the tune of almost $2 million in grants. And he was not only being successful with it, but he was actually reducing the type of population on the street of crazy children running rampant. Now, if you know anything about the Democrats, you'll understand one very important thing. They need chaos to stay in power.
Yes.
If you are a person that's trying to mitigate chaos and you are removing kids off the street, what was Kamala's one big thing that she liked to talk about was truancy, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now remember,
entire position.
Exactly. So now if you have a guy that's running roughshod over your whole shtick, you're going to happily say, oh, get rid of him? Bet.
Yep.
Okay. So he had skin in the game that they wanted gone, and they did exactly that. And mind you, the program was massive that he was running it, and it was very successful. So that is the background to what he's about to tell you about Kamala Harris.
Hey,
and when you hear the kid story, it's even worse.
Hey, Marlon, real quick, can you remind some people out there who John Walsh is? Because a lot of us know who he is, but there may be somebody out there that doesn't really remember who John Walsh is.
So if you remember him, he was a man that came to prominence with America's Most Wanted. And it all started because his kid got abducted at a mall. But the story that we heard outside of what the media told you is that what was really happening is that he owed a debt to his drug peddlers because he did have a drug problem. And the best way to get that drug paid off was to give his son up, which is why the mother left the kid alone for as long as she did. And it wasn't that she just lost track. It was the way to get him abducted and taken care of. That was his payment back to continue doing. And in so doing, he was actually able to get into the good graces of the president at the time to start this Amber Alert thing to continue doing exactly what he had been doing, trafficking. So let's get that on the table. So that's who John Walsh is. John Walsh is not a good guy in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And this has all been, which is why you see them always having this open border policy, which is why you see them having the kind of CPS situation we have, and which is why Kamala never did anything while she was DA, and why the Biden and Kamala Harris regime or the Obama regime never did anything about the limiting of children at the border or through CPS, because it's a business for them and they are making money off of it.
Anytime they talk about traffic, and like not even trafficking, anything they talk about the border, they never mention the amount of sex trafficking that has happened, that has skyrocketed since they came into office. They never mention sex trafficking, period. They'll talk about drugs, they'll talk about fentanyl, they'll talk about how we need to help the illegals, but they will never talk about ending sex trafficking of children at the border.
There's no need to end it. They want it going.
Yeah.
It's money making. It's a lucrative thing. And so when you actually get to the crux of it, forget the fact that Kamala nailed her way to the top. Forget that for a minute. We have before us another side that she cannot dispute, because say you want to dispute the fact that she was a whore all her way up to her power. Let's just say that, but there's no real actual proof outside of what guys say. Let's go with that, and I'll give you that. There's no proof. Okay. What we do have proof of is her corruption while she was DA. That's not even disputable on any metric. She was a corrupt DA, and she did things that kept especially black people, which is probably why she ended up siding with Joe Biden anyway, because he did the same thing. She did a lot of things that kept a lot of black people incarcerated longer than anyone else and put in behind bars long behind it. Why? Because of what he's talking about. Her entire regime was to lock fathers up to gain access to the children to traffic them. Now, y'all remember this case in, I think it was in California, of the little Hispanic kid. It made a Netflix movie out of it. documentary where the kid got they fed the kid dog feces and cat food and all kinds of stuff and kept him locked up. And now CPS went out there multiple times and they saw multiple injuries, flash burns, cigarette burns, broken bones, and did nothing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they went around and were incarcerating parents who also did nothing and took the children. So it is something that California has been famous for because that's what they make their money in, is in child trafficking. So here you have a situation now where Kamala Harris was one of the linchpins behind it, both with the truancy, the lockup, and now with this individual.
We also forget about CPS taking newborns as well.
All Sacramento County records. She has to go through those records in order to review the case. So when she reviewed the case, she was protecting her union boss, Pamela Robertson, from federal kidnapping. She did that by allowing me to be prosecuted for a crime that I never committed. Pamela Robertson is the girlfriend of America's Most Wanted National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's John Walsh, and has been for over 30 years. She is also the vice chair to California State Employees Union. So that is the people who make sure that district attorneys like Kamala Harris gets, raises every year. She's the money person for the California State Employees. California State Employees, just so you understand, are Highway Patrol. They are the top law enforcement in the state. The Department of Justice. All those people fall under the California State Employees Union. So this was more like her union boss who did the actual federal kidnapping of my son, Yeshua Awobade. So she was protecting her by signing my extradition papers from the state of Nevada to the state of California, even though she knew it was 100% not true and that I was not guilty of any crime, felony crime. Kamala Harris could have prevented all of this from happening by just following the rule of law, just by obeying the law, just by doing the basic checking that she needed to check and preventing me from being extradited to the state of California.
Now, I'm glad he addressed this. Because throughout her tenure as DA, that's what she was notorious for, was bypassing the law. She was notorious for not adhering to any of the law, kind of like how she was put in charge of the border and did, I don't know, nothing about the law. And she wasn't she on film saying that people who came in the country legally are not guilty of any crime?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like a lot of these DAs you'll see across the country, especially in blue cities, where they'll just ignore laws they don't want, and then they'll use whatever law they can to get who they don't like arrested. They do this constantly.
And here's the thing. We talked about this on a Savage Patriots last year, middle of last year. We talked about how everything that's happening now, that you're seeing all this political stuff going on, all leads back to child trafficking. And I think this with Kamala is going to be the linchpin. It's going to be the one that's really going to open people's eyes. So, with that being said, we need you guys to really share this podcast and get it out, because there's a lot of people that don't know this information.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I understand that it will be suppressed. I have no doubt that the algorithm on every platform will try and keep this particular information suppressed. However, the combat to that is more people sharing. If you share it, every eye will see by it organically instead of hoping that the algorithm pushes it. That's the way to combat it. Now, the question I have for you guys is this. If this does come to light, should she right off the bat be removed from eligibility as a candidate for the presidency?
100%. 100%.
Her qualifications alone make it so she shouldn't be president of the United States, but this is just criminal territory that she should be investigated on.
It is interesting to me. It is very interesting to me that no one's ever talked about it. I mean, we've put this video has been up going on 4 months now. 4 months. And it has been pushed to the back, and we understand why. We get it. We get it, YouTube. We know that you don't like getting this in because you got your little girlfriend that you need to provide for. I get it. But understand that at the end of it, you can't really fight the truth. It's going to come out one way or another. And the fact that you got her in the limelight now, it's only going to make it worse for her. Yeah. So, which is good for us.
I was extradited to the state of California and denied due process. Not only was I denied due process, but my son was denied due process. So she definitely could have prevented my son from being sex trafficked, forced to do child pornography, being held for ransom, and attempted forced gender change. Kamala Harris could have prevented all those things from happening to my son by just upholding the law and not being biased and protecting her union boss, Pamela Robertson.
Okay, so I know the claims at the end. I want to make sure and ask the question, and if that can be verified that that's in court documents, or is that just as a personal?
No, that's in the documents too.
Okay.
Yeah, everything on this video all this has been documented. Every single aspect of it.
Yep.
That's going to be the first question people will always ask is like, can you verify the claims?
So what he's done is this, right? He's filed criminal complaints against everyone he's ever named. And he has all the court records that he's handed over to Too Strong, at least shared them with us. And we've been through all of the documentation, and everything he said that he has done has been before the courts already, has been offered, and he has them all laid out. And when I tell you this man is intent on getting justice for his son, he's intent on getting justice for his son. Now, mind you, like I said, there have been 2 attempts made on his life already. Also verified. And like I said, the other person that is linked to what has happened to him is that Vegas shooter. We may have to do another episode on that whole thing just so we can flesh it out. But if you want the full details, we did an entire live about it on Too Strong with him live to have the discussion to break everything apart. But we've also had multiple videos that he's done that we've put up that will give you a very full story. Many people don't want to listen to the whole thing. And then you think, well, it's so disjointed. It's disjointed because you're not paying attention. His story is very coherently flowing. And if you look at his timelines, everyone that he's named is verified people. The other section of that he didn't get to in this was there were one particular police officer that was in charge of youth at the time, because remember I told you he was over a bunch of youth trying to get them rehabilitated, who was using his position of power to sexually assault these children. And he had gotten away with it for a long time. The police officer that got shot in Vegas was investigating that cop, got him arrested, and he's now serving time. But after that happened, they put a hit on that cop, eventually succeeding and killing him in Vegas.
So in the Vegas shooting, that cop was he actually targeted? He got shot at the venue?
Yes.
So he was actually targeted at the venue specifically.
Because, and people will say, how would they know that? Well, here's the thing. They set up a certain thing for him to be there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's how you know that he was the target. If you go back and look at all of the news that were taking place then, they didn't show anybody else's body on this floor except for his.
Yes, I remember that.
There has never been another police officer they have done that to, where his body exposed, killed, floor, laid out, dead, and have it blasted on every media network they had at the time. They made an example of him to silence the rest of the people that were going to talk, which is why you saw things just dissipate after a while and you didn't hear any more coverage about it, because he was used as a scare tactic.
Which is one of the theories I had about the Vegas shooting is like, how do you hide a hit is you kill a bunch of other people along with it and you don't know who the actual target is.
Right. And exactly, they dumped his autopsy all over the news too, which is unnatural.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of questions that don't make any sense. Like a lot of we've said before is that once Vegas was over, it kind of just disappeared, right?
Mhm.
Like they're like, well, we can't find anything out about this guy. Oh well, and then they just it went away. There was no further happenings. There's no other rationale or reason. No closing of the case. Just this guy was crazy. He shot a bunch of people. Oh well, that's it.
And they still have his laptop is where all that information was. FYI.
Well, that's the same FBI that claims that Trump didn't get shot. So
right,
yeah.
So,
but also the same FBI that couldn't even find a tiny bag of coke in the White House.
Right. So it's a crazy situation when you look at exactly all the unfinished stories that are out there surrounding his case. But the bigger picture here is, how did she manage? This is my question to people. How did Kamala manage? And it's a rhetorical question, really. Yeah. How did Kamala manage to do all of this while running and dealing herself as the DA, and still manage to make herself able to get into the Senate, and then also make her way into the VP, and now all the way into the running for President of the United States?
Because nobody gets into office unless there is significant dirt on them. At least if you're in the establishment, like the people that are inside of the establishment or the permanent state, all have dirt on them for one reason or another, and as an insurance policy.
Yes, and you can imagine like the dirt you just found on Kamala that's out there. Imagine the amount of dirt throughout that whole system. Imagine this is just. When it comes to human trafficking and child abduction and corruption, that's Kamala. And we know there's more, but this is what we see. We see Kamala. That's just a piece. You got to imagine how much of this child trafficking that's tied to Kamala that is tied to other folks. And it's already been stated, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, so many people. So you can imagine the house of cards, man, how far it goes up. And this is why they're protecting and shielding her so much.
And how far back it goes, because we're talking about her initial political career right after she decided to stop being the 304 to Montel Williams. So the whole notion of the fact that she started off as a side chick to Willie Brown and Montel, and then all of a sudden she switches gears to a political deal, to the point where now all of a sudden she's got dirt on some of her bosses in the city of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then they propel her upwards because of that dirt. But then at the same time, she's also participating in the dirt as well.
Yeah. So, we're also not talking about the massive amount of missing children through the Border Patrol either, which is part of her watch. Like, she's the one supposed to be in charge of the border, right? But thousands upon thousands of children across the border have gone missing, and nobody knows where they are. You just can't make thousands of children disappear without them going somewhere. They have to go somewhere. So where are they?
Yeah, they went somewhere far, far away.
Yep.
Or to Hillary's back door. Now, I'm going to bring up another section, because it will clarify some things for us. Another video that he did, the second part to it. And you guys can see a little bit clearer what he actually has going on.
Yay, ad.
First. Okay, here we go. This was where he found out that he was a child.
You will be shocked to know the names of the people involved in the federal kidnapping and child sex trafficking of my son, Yeshua. Barack Obama, Mayor Kevin Johnson of Sacramento, Kamala Harris, John Walsh, Catherine Cortez Masto, Governor Brown. Leaving church, we went to Walmart. It was me, my mother, a friend from the church, and my son, Yeshua. We shopped. We were on our way out, and as we usually do, we always check the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's missing wall of children, just in case, we've seen one of those children before. And to our surprise, we saw ourselves on that wall. It was heart-wrenching. And my mother called the number on the poster, which was 1-800 to Lost. We talked to a woman by the name of Tabitha, and we faxed in our custodial paperwork and explained to her this has to be some type of mistake. You know, could you take us off the wall? She apologized, and 2 days later, on October 21st, the U.S. Marshal Sexual Predators Unit came to our home, banging at the door. Bang, bam, 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 bam. U.S. Marshal Sexual Predators Unit opened up the door before we kick it in. I was petrified. They were cursing. I asked them, could you please stop cursing? My mother's in here. They said, we're going to kick the door in if you don't open it up. I said, I'm opening up the door. Before I can open up the door, they kicked it in. It looked like a football team of guys with guns. No badges, no cameras, just guns to my head, guns to my mother's head, guns to my son's head, guns to my fiance at the time's head. And they handcuffed me, took me downstairs. Once they took me downstairs, they brought my son downstairs. And when they brought my son downstairs, before they put him in the police car, some heavy-set, older man picked him up, squeezed him, and kissed him. And that was the last time I seen my son.
And I tried to tell my mom about this, and she has been through a lot too, and she went through the same thing as me also. So this didn't just happen to me, this also happened to my mom.
Now, if you guys know anything about abused children, you can see the signs on his face.
Yep.
Now, remember what the father said, that they had put him through an attempted change, sex change. So they were attempting to give him a sexual change by castration chemically.
What year is this?
This was, man, she was still DA.
Between 2011 and 2017.
Somewhere in there, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. This was the start of California encroaching upon parental rights and the whole Anthony Weiner deal during that time too. So
yeah. So he has now he's about to turn, at an age where he can give his own story and not have to worry. But we will, once that happens, we will have him have his discussion about it. But trauma is hard to hide when you're a kid on your face, and he's wearing it all over. So I don't care what anybody, if nothing, I don't need paperwork when I can see for myself, and having spoken to him, I don't need no more proof. I got plenty enough proof what I need. However, since people need it, there is paperwork as well. The reason I played that second video was for this reason. For that picture to end up on the exploited children's wall, two people had to be contacted. DA and John Walsh. John Walsh is the one who normally funnels all that stuff, and they get, because of again, he was the one that implemented that whole law when Clinton was around. So it's not far-fetched to have him be implemented, especially when there are so many close ties, especially with the woman that was over Kamala that was dating John Walsh. All the names, all the relations line up. There is not a question about that. The only question is why.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue, is like the kind of why with it is like, okay, so like what's the involvement of the mother here? Because like, did they just bypass her entirely? Like what, how did they go from him being a custodial parent to them saying that he was an abductor? That's the thing I'm not understanding, is like, where does she fit in that? I'll
tell you right now. Remember I told you she was a junkie, right?
Yeah.
She was dating the one who was running, Kevin Johnson, right? The mayor. The mayor called in a favor, right? What would that favor do? Because he wanted Barack's endorsement. Or sorry, the other way around. Barack wanted his endorsement, and
Hmm.
they were friends. Okay, so here we have favor for favor. I will do this if you do this. She wanted to have the child away from father. That wasn't going to happen because of her history. But since both sides wanted the kid anyway, the best way to do it was to try and incriminate the father. And the only other person that it would go to is the grandparent.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have gone to mom, but the mom was the linchpin in getting all this kicked off.
Well, who's the judge that signed off on the warrant?
There was no judge that signed off on the warrant. That's why Kamala's job is so vital, because it never went that far. She just
bypassed all that.
Yeah, because like you would have to have
a judge
wouldn't. To sign off on it.
She bypassed all that.
Why would you need that if you're doing it illegally? Okay, did a judge sign off on the men staying behind bars a longer prison term?
No, they didn't. That's why I'm like, that's what makes, I'm just asking the questions that are throwing with the red flags for me. It's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't a judge sign off on this? Well, that means she skirted around it. Like you said, that's your answer for that question.
Yeah, she skirted way around it. Because if she had, she would have had to go through the regular chain of command, with paperwork. And none of that took place. But she issued what she had to issue. It's kind of like an executive, or if you want to call it that. But she went over the heads of everybody to do what she had to get done.
Yeah, because it went to the marshals. The marshal showed up to his door. That means it had to go through somebody on that chain. There had to be a legitimate warrant for that to have happened. They can't just go in there looking for this guy without a warrant.
Except it wasn't the marshals that showed up.
Okay, who was it then?
Therein lies the problem.
Remember, he said they had no badges.
Who was the people that he said were in charge of him and taking care of the kids? Remember, I told you about the police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them that was trafficking kids and having sex with them. Same unit.
It is the guy that showed up to take the kid.
Same unit.
But they claim to be marshals. So under a false identity, they instituted a non-legal warrant in order to kidnap a child. Got it.
Precisely. Everything was done off record in terms of legality. All of it. Every last bit of it. And all of it signed off by who?
Kamala.
Right, because the only way to get him extradited to California was to have it go through the DA, which she was DA at the time when it happened.
Yep, there you go.
Which means she's involved in the corruption between various individuals to kidnap a child.
She is a trafficker. Yeah.
Just like all of them. She's one of many.
When you look at this thing from the aerial view and you look down, and we started. Now, here's the other thing, too. We know about people who are falsely incriminated and incarcerated all the time. Okay, we hear about it all the time. You just have one piece of evidence that they leave out, or one bit of evidence that they slip in that had nothing to do with the case, but it's viewed as. So they do it all the time. This one just happened to come from the highest of the highest up, which was at the time Barack Obama.
Here's a good example. Do you remember the Russ case with Baldwin shooting that cinematographer?
Right.
Where magic bullets just showed up out of nowhere that got him exonerated and the whole case tossed out.
There you go.
Yeah.
They'll slip stuff in there all the time. Now, with this particular thing, because it involved a child that is still around and will be able to speak for himself, when he does come out with his side, he will tell you who was around, who was a handler, and he'll come with all the extra stuff that we don't know. Because remember, he was the one abducted, not the father. The father is going based on what the son says. But if people don't believe the son, don't believe the father, trust me, when the son tells you, you'll understand exactly what we mean. Now, here's a bigger picture: is that if Kamala did indeed, let's just say for argument's sake that people still don't believe. If Kamala, and I know you Democrats, you clowns like to say, no one's above the law. You're going to say the same thing about Kamala? Are you going to hold Kamala to the standard that you like to hold everybody else with? Are you going to ask for an independent counsel to go look into Kamala's history while being DA? Are you going to look into how many men she actually did keep incarcerated for her own greedy gain? Are you going to investigate that? Probably not, because she was doing it at the behest of the people that y'all like too much.
Yep.
And then? Yeah, but there's no double standard, right? And no one's above the law. That's what you're trying to tell us and make us believe. No one's above the law except for the people that you want to hold above. How about Barack? You're going to investigate him for war crimes? No. because you know somebody's above the law.
Yep.
Kamala's now running for president. Running. She's kneeling for president, technically, is what she's doing. So she's running for president right now. And you don't want to know the truth about what she's actually done to black people while asking for the black vote? Yeah, I get.
Yeah, and they don't care because, again, Democrats have shown us time and time again that they don't vote on policy. They don't care about the record. They just care about the individual. They vote based off emotions. So it doesn't matter what she did in their eyes. She's black, quotations, and she's a woman. We want her in. Once she's in, we can worry about that. But once she's in, and say this does come up, which if she gets in, then they're going to say, oh, this is a witch hunt. Oh, this is because she's black. Oh, this is because she's a woman. Oh, this is a lie. We've never heard about this. But we're going to show it to you right now.
And then the moment she gets in, it's already too late to try and get her out because now she's got to run her full term and watch the country burn.
Man, I honestly hope there's chaos in Chicago and they don't actually nominate her. It's a terrible choice to begin with. But the other thing that you're talking about, nobody's above the law, but we also tend to forget that, hey, there's a guy that like just drowned at Obama's place and nobody really brought up any questions about that. Just like randomly, just dude dies and it's like, oh yeah, a guy found dead at Obama's place, no big deal. And
they've been notorious for doing this. This is nothing new. And they're just doing it. This is just the most recent iteration of it. Now, if you've been watching, some of you have and some of you have not. If you go back now to try this experiment for yourself, go back and try and find any documentation about Kamala being the border czar. You would have to be some kind of investigative genius to try and find that now.
Right.
You have to know, or you would have to have it in your arsenal somewhere in your computer before to bring it to the forefront. Now that's being actually literally erased from the internet. The same way they were trying to erase the assassination attempt from online too.
Yep.
Anything that's dissenting, anything that will paint them in a bad light. If you really thought, you fools, you retarded Democrats, you morons, you blood-sucking leeches, if you actually believed in democracy, you would let all the information out, but you don't believe in democracy.
Right.
What you believe in is in a dictatorship. While you're accusing everybody else about being a dictator, you're over here erasing records.
Yep.
Right? But that's okay.
Things with phones.
That's okay with you, right? Burning, bleach bitten, you name it. You like to erase the history. You want to tear down every statue because you don't want to remind people that you're the same bastards that did this.
Yeah.
You're the ones that started beating and raping black people. That was you.
Yep.
Ripping children from the mother's arms and decapitating the fathers and chopping their feet off and their hand off and burning them and ripping them asunder. That was the Democrats. They're not any different. They're not different today.
That's true.
Kamala used black people as slaves and her family owned them. She's still doing the same crap today.
Yep.
She married a slave master. For crying out loud. She wenched herself to the top, literally.
And here's another thing that's dumb about these smooth brain leftists. When Kamala ran in 2016, she swore in as the first American or what Indian, South Asian, what are
Pacific
they?
Asian.
Pacific Asian to run. Now here it is, 8 years later. Now she's running as a black person. And this is how dumb you guys are. You guys vote so emotionally that you don't even go back and look at it like, wait, why was she black back then? Fast forward 8 years later, she's black. Why is Kamala locking black people up that smoked marijuana, but she gets on the Breakfast Club and talks about how much marijuana she smoked? Don't you guys even think about that stuff? No. But no, you're emotionally based voters, so it's expected of you.
This is I'm not saying this will affect the election either way, because we all understand what happens to information in this day and time. Okay.
Yeah.
If it goes against the norm of what the Democrats want to push, because they do control, whether people like to believe this or not, you can stick your head in the sand and be stupid. You have the right to be stupid because that's part of your American benefit. Mm-hmm. But we all know that they control the mainstream media and they control online activity. Anything that they want to hide, they will hide.
They're gonna hide it. Like, here's a funny happenstance. So with everybody kind of trying to discredit the whole assassination attempt, and he didn't really get shot and all that stuff. the fact that they control a lot of things is missed on people, because you look at the CrowdStrike issue and how they were the same company that was responsible to responding to the DNC servers being hacked and said it was Russians that did it.
They always know how to
company.
hide. They know how to hide. They know how to hide. And so this is not going to be something that we're going to, I'm not expecting this to go viral. I would love for it so people can get a real dose of what Kamala actually is. Yeah. I would love it. But I'm not stupid to the point where I don't understand how this functions. Mm-hmm. Okay. We understand fully how this is going to go, which is why we're going to stay on her behind. I know she's used to that, but I'm going to stay on her as long as possible for things to happen. Because everyone else might want to forget, but we're not going to forget. We're not going to forget. Kamala is an evil human being.
Sure is.
She grew up a whore and she remains a whore to this day. And I mean in every possible aspect, both politically and physically. Yeah. She doesn't have two brain cells to rub together. There's nothing powerful about her. There's nothing independent about her. There's nothing intelligent about her. She offers nothing.
Yeah.
I have seen smarter individuals in a special ed class at 2 years old.
That's a fact.
Like, this is the thing that incenses me about the Democrats, is that they'll preach all day about we're saving democracy while skirting around democracy at every chance they get. For three primaries in a row, they've rigged it so that they only got the person they want in to win the primary. Yeah. 3 times now. 3 times they have done it. And they're like, no, that's fine. It's totally fine. You could, if you wanted a woman of color that actually was smart, you could have had Tulsi Gabbard. You could have had Gabbard.
Multiple
in there.
Yeah, and one thing that you have to think about, especially on the left, when it comes to Kamala Harris and anyone on the left, it's not just Kamala Harris they do this for. If they're trying so hard to hide their record, which people that've been around a while know their record, but then if they're trying so hard to hide it and get rid of it, that should tell you something about that candidate. Because when it came to Trump, they never hid anything from Trump. The right never hid anything. It was all out there for the world to see. But when it comes to these people, Kamala Harris, they're trying to make it seem like she's squeaky clean. She's just this perfect senator, and she's this perfect DA, and she's this perfect vice president. Because they're scrubbing the internet of her record to fool you guys.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to go, though.
Yep.
That's what happens when the slave doesn't question the master, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it is, because as soon as they start questioning things, the master cracks the whip, doesn't he?
Ain't gonna
he knows what Democrats do.
He knows how to crack it.
Ain't gonna crack it on me.
He knows how to crack it.
I would have freed many more if only they knew they were slaves.
Let me see if I can find this particular one that I saw earlier and bring it up real quick. Can you guys find the video of that guy? The fella that was given 50 years.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, I'm looking for it here on the.
Did I send it? Look here, I got it. I'm gonna send it to you to your chat.
Okay.
All right, you got it.
I got it. Okay. Let me save it and bring this up real quick, because I think this one will also solidify, since people may think it's too far away and it's not one that it's not recent. Well, here's a more recent one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go? There it is. Okay. All right, here we go. This will be the last one we'll watch, but don't think we're not going to cover a part 2 of this, because we will at some point.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I look back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny.
No, it ain't.
Nope.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, but you know that saying, Marlon, you reap what you sow, and you can't laugh forever. And your time will come where justice will be served. I believe.
Even if it doesn't happen in the time frame that I want it to, I do know eventually she'll have to pay the piper. But in the meantime, there are going to be so many, and this is unfortunate. If you watch what she's pushing, let's just talk about what she's pushing right now is a lot of the anti-man agenda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By bringing in all of the trag and the queer agenda thing, right? Yeah. If you notice, she's not even remotely talking about black men anymore. And they're always talking about black women coming to vote for her and the LGBTQ coming to vote for her. You know why?
Yeah.
Because she understands full well what she did to black men.
Yep.
She knows full well her record on black men. She's not going to bank on black men because she knows that if black men out there are aware of who she is, they're not going to vote for her.
She's actually got one more if you want to play it.
And the thing is, you know, Marlon, with her, you know, when Joy Reid was coming out talking about, not Joy, Sonny was coming out saying black women are going to take their men to vote Democrat. This is before Kamala. So, you know, they were banking on these women. So like Marlon and I talked backstage, they already knew Kamala was coming because they're trying to use black women to shame black men to vote for Kamala. But they know it's not going to happen because black men are standing their ground. No, we are not voting for her. So the more information we get out about her, the more informed these people are going to be. And hopefully she never even gets in there. And which I don't think she will.
Well, I think a lot of it we have to also recognize, and before the video plays, is to also ensure that white liberal women don't have a voice, because they're just as equally detrimental to ensuring that she gets in. Because I mean, well, I would venture to say white liberals in general are they're detrimental to being allies to this brown Jamaican Indian Jamaican chick, and so because they're continually voicing their support. So that they're recognized as allies. So that way, when white liberal women, and their beta male white liberal cucks team up with the black women of America to vote for Kamala, there's that trifecta of identity politics that are instituted. So
yep. Yeah, and not surprising, the next guy is also a black man that was falsely accused and about sent to 20 years.
Person that's innocent of a crime, nothing is a surprise when they finally prove that you're innocent. All you saying is, I told you so. Pretty much, like, this took this long. I've been saying this for 20 years. So at that point, that's been my experience. Like, it wasn't overwhelming because I knew it wasn't me. I knew the person they was describing. I just knew, like, I've been telling y'all this already. So now you finally see. I don't have no qualms about, her, being a vice president. I mean, I think that I believe she'll be great in that position, because I think, again, local politics are not global politics. It's a whole different beast. So, what she did locally to move here into this position and into this position, like, I just think she was bred that way, like by that culture, that political culture. Like, that's what they do. None of their hands are clean. Even though she had, I believe the moves that she did, like not wanting to release me when clearly it was shown that I was, done wrong. I think it was just an opportune. Again, she was moving into a new position. She didn't want to ruffle any whatever feathers. But again, the newly elected DA, that's the first line of business. He came right in and, nope, we're not going to play these games. This is dismissed, period.
Now, hear me out. How brainwashed do you have to be to say the stupid stuff he just said after
I know, right?
You were targeted by this woman? How stupid do you have to be to believe that small town politics or state politics is less corrupt than the big one? It just means that she'll do it to more of you, you fool.
Yep.
On a larger scale, to the point where she can actually have a massive effect on you. She only had effect on people in California. Imagine what this moron will have effect on how many other people throughout every state.
Yeah.
You know what that's called, Marlon?
You just
know what that's called? Stockholm Syndrome.
That's crazy to me.
You know,
or is he paid to say that?
Well, I don't. Either way, he's dumb enough to say it. Even if you are paid, you're still stupid enough to take the money to say that stuff. The other part to this, and going back to the women voting thing, or the black women voting, this is exactly how they suckered the black folks into the first time with the welfare state.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They told you to kick the man out, and you're doing it again.
Yeah.
You're like you're like a cancer to black men, you black women out there that think like this. You're a cancer. You're AIDS. You are AIDS. You're a rectal hemorrhoid to black men.
Yep.
Why should any of them want to date you, be around you, have anything to do with you when every turn they take, you are stepping in to keep them further down? You call them every name in the book. You degrade them.
No.
And then when they decide to leave this toxic relationship, you all don't like black women. Why should they? What do you offer? Nothing. You're trash humans. Why would they have anything to do with you when at every turn, all you do is side with the people politically that destroy them?
Yep.
But you're quick to march. I love my black king, my black. What?
Yeah.
You guys are crazy. And for all you stupid black women that are going to vote for Kamala, do not look for a black king because they don't want you.
Yeah.
What's worse about that whole situation is the fact that he knows she's an opportunist. That should be disqualifying in and of itself, man. Like, why would I want an opportunist as a politician?
They're all opportunists.
Yeah.
Every last one of them are opportunists. And the thing is that they all protect each other. So
but I think
we know she's corrupt. The people that she put behind bars know she's corrupt. The districts that she represented are corrupt. The people that vote for her know that she's corrupt. But the fact is that they all protect each other. So it don't matter what we think or people think. Doesn't matter. The donors, the lobbyists, they're going to keep pushing her forward. Pushing her forward because why? She's easy to control.
Well, therein lies the problem, though. That's why the type of opportunity she is a dangerous one. Because because it's not just a corruption thing. It's just because she's, for lack of a better word, she's a flaccid candidate.
Yeah,
she's not going to stand on anything.
Those that are bringing up her husband, I want to remind you, he's not just any kind of white. He's a Jew white. So like, so the thing about that is that they can't have Shapiro now because they can't have two Jews in the White House because it looks bad, especially when you have an entire base that is anti-Jewish right now and supporting Hamas and pro-Palestine movements.
Let me answer this question for you, 01. Does he believe it, or does he say it because his family was threatened? The first one almost executed was singing the same tune for years now until now too. Glad he got the guts to speak the truth. Yes, it could be that he was threatened, but his speak was not that of a threatened man. I think what you call it is a defeated man. Yeah. But he's still stupid to be that defeated. Now, hear me out. There is a level to which manhood has to take you past fear. Do you think what we're doing shouldn't invoke fear in us? We run this podcast, okay? And the things we talk about could easily land us on all sorts of lists. Government lists, and not just regular government lists, but government lists that they can send to come find us. Mm-hmm. Now, if I were not a man and I was afraid, I would stop talking. But I ain't nobody's bee.
Nope.
And you're not going to freak me out and scare me because you think you can come find me. Come find me. Mm-hmm. You're just going to prove my point. Exactly. All you're going to do is prove that I'm right. And I have the spine to stand up and say it. Everyone on the screen has the spine to stand and say exactly what is true. We don't give a damn if you come find us. Because the instant you do that, you're proving to everyone that you have something to hide and you're scared. That you're sissy. You ain't men. Everybody knows right away that you're chicken liver. You're worthless human beings if you come after somebody speaking what they believe. It tells us that we are like hound dogs and we're on your trail. Mm-hmm. So please solidify for the rest of America that you're afraid. Do to us what you did to Alex Jones. Do to us what you did to Steve Bannon. Do to us, to everybody that you're afraid of because you don't like the truth getting out.
Yep.
Do it. Prove to everybody what the truth is. Go after a small creator and tell them they should be silent. Do it. You know why you can't? Because there's so many of us doing it that if you were to clamp down, you'd be proven to exactly what you are.
And word would get out like that. It'd get out so fast that you guys couldn't even hide it at that point. You couldn't just say it was, oh, these guys said something online or some terroristic threats. No, we said it right here. If you did it, we know why you did it. We would share with every other podcast out here. They would share it, and there'd be millions and millions of people you'd have to go after for speaking their mind. We stand on business, and we say it all the time. We don't fear the repercussions of what we say because we get on here live and say it. We don't care because we're speaking the truth. And that's what needs to happen in this country. I'm tired of living this illusion that they put on TV, this illusion that they put in the movies, this illusion that you see on these fake TikTok creators. This is real. And we're here to freaking push realism.
Yeah. If you don't believe that, we also just took a dump on JD Vance not too long ago.
And everybody's free game. Everybody's free game. Ain't nobody safe. Ain't nobody safe from the Savage Patriot. You screw up, we're gonna expose you. You say something stupid, we're gonna call you out. You play the fool and go against the American people, we're gonna lambaste you. You're not look, nobody's safe. Left, right, center, extreme right, extreme left. Yeah. Nobody is safe. The truth has only one side, not two, not three. There's only one truth. And if you don't stand on it, then you stand on nothing.
And
if anybody, I'm going to put a challenge out to anybody, any podcaster out there. Go through any of our content and show us where we lied. I want to see you, and not only that, show us where we took sides when it was a blatant disregard for the truth. I want to see you do that. I bet you I can do it to nearly 90% of the podcasters on YouTube right now, though. I bet you we can go through everybody's things and show you how they're biased to one side and not the other. You can't find that here. You know why you won't find it here? Because truth has a name.
And we do not blindly support anyone. Yeah. I don't care if I agree with them. I don't care if I follow them. If a wrong is a wrong. There's no blind loyalty. A wrong is a wrong. I may like you, but even if I like you and you do some foul stuff that goes against this country, you're getting called out.
Right. Just the same thing of like, I hate the fact that our politicians stand up and clap like seals with Netanyahu giving an address. Right. But I also don't stand for the Palestinian protesters and the pro-Hamas people either, destroying the Liberty Bell. Yeah. I hate both of them equally.
There you go.
Yeah. And JD Vance is still wearing eyeliner.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Don't be a sucker. And of course, you got these lily livers, sissy boys like Brandon Tatum. Right. Yep. A blatant statement where the lady obviously posed no threat. He's siding with the suicidal sick cop that shot her in the face. It's fools like that we cannot stand. Shills, paid voices, all about the money. He doesn't care about truth because he did the same shit when he was with the Uvalde thing. Yep. He was siding with the Uvalde cops for crying out loud.
Jeez.
That man is absolute trash. If you follow Brandon Tatum, you're an idiot. You have to be stupid to follow that fool. The man doesn't know correct or right he doesn't. He only knows one side. He was a horrible cop. He's probably worse as a parent and a husband. No. He's a disgusting human being all the way around. How you going to look at that situation and say, well, you know, it was justified. They were afraid of hot water. You would have shot your own family, you piece of crap.
And on that, Marlon had the audacity
to double down,
to zoom in on the video to show steam from the water that was obviously on the floor. It was only a pot. Had the audacity, double down on the cop's actions after he showed the steam on. You see the water? See the water?
Yeah.
See, there's the water. He's a shill, like Marlon said.
All they had to do was tell her
not. Paid shill.
All they had to do was tell her not to pick up the pot. That was it.
Yeah, and if everybody goes back to our episode, what's today? Monday? What was that? Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah. Go back to the episode Friday. I discussed all of that.
It is crazy. It is crazy. That's why we stand apart. And we're not saying we're better than everybody else. What we're saying, we're different than everybody else. Yeah. We're different because we do not play sides. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right.
Yep.
And it's pretty obvious when you can see it and not have shades on to one side or the other to see the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are shaded to one side without logic, you will always say something stupid like he did.
Mm-hmm.
You will always have people like Pac-Man who says something stupid. You'll have people like Harry Sisson who say stuff stupid. You'll always have situations like Fox News that say stuff stupid because they are paid to push only one narrative. The Savage Patriots are not that, and we will never be that because we do not abide by one party's rules or the other. We look at evidence, we look at the situation, and we give you an actual situational situation that will tell you what happened. We don't give our biased information because if it's not there, we're not going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We may have our viewpoints, and all of us on the screen here don't agree with everything all the time. We each have our viewpoints. But when something is blatantly wrong and blatantly right, you know what you don't have an option to do? Disagree.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It's that
moral
simple.
foundations. That's what it really comes down to, is having a moral foundation and
That's all you have
understanding
to
what right
have.
and wrong is. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong for your side. You should judge it based on what your moral values is. Is it right or is it wrong? Doesn't matter whose side it is.
And there's a key word you said there, Coy. Morals.
Moral foundation. Yeah.
Which a lot of people lack. And this is why we see what we see in our country right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. And I cannot sit by and just not say anything about this Kamala Harris situation or any other situation, knowing exactly how much damage that wench has done in her entire political career. I cannot negate the amount of damage to families, to children that she has done, especially to Black families. I cannot negate that. And the fact that she's pushing so hard to get the same Black people that she destroyed to vote for her is absolutely sickening.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the media is pushing it, that if you don't, you're no longer Black, and they're doing it to the tune like you're going to be ostracized.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay, then ostracize me. I don't need your. First of all, no one ever needed Kamala Harris's approval to live.
Sure.
Okay, and especially to live happy. In fact, if we never saw you again, Kamala, we would be happy.
Yeah.
But you don't want to talk about that, do you? No.
Hey, if you like high inflation, no affordability to live anywhere, even with 3 jobs, then go ahead and vote for the woman because she's a woman.
That's right.
There you go.
So you're welcome.
So.
I'm gonna address this person right here. I asked you what you want to talk about. You haven't answered me. So until you answer that question, I'm not addressing you for any phone lines at all.
Up the phone. That's why I
don't know why you think you are deserving of any airtime. Because I don't know who the heck you are, bro. Like, never heard of you. I don't expect to have any conversation, especially when you won't tell us what you want to talk about. And you're talking like you can demand stuff of us. you got some really real delusion as a grandeur.
I
didn't know we were calling.
Open the lines and talk to me, nigga, please.
What lines?
Yeah, we're a call-in show apparently.
Like, bro, ain't nobody got time to talk to you if you're not going to say what you're going to talk about. Like, you think you that important? Bro, go find some corner and go circle with your friends. Okay, not here though. It's not here.
No,
it ain't here. All right, this ain't TikTok. All right, this ain't TikTok. This ain't when you just bring me up, bro. That's not here. We run a professional podcast here. And if especially you're gonna call in with some kind of colloquial talk where nobody can understand what you're saying, first of all, and you probably won't show your face because you're too chicken shit to do it, we ain't have time for you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. We come with information. You come up with probably more than likely 100% feelings. More than likely you're coming up here with some kind of beta cucks sensation and say, listen to me, listen to me. Ain't nobody want to hear you. Go start your own damn podcast and shut up. That's what you can do. Yep. Go talk to yourself on the screen and see people listen to you. But you know what? You can't do that because you got nothing to offer. So move along to somebody else who has time to waste. It ain't going to be here. I hope that's clear enough for you. I hope that answers your question. Okay? Even if you are subscribed, no one gives a damn. Move on. We're not doing this for likes and sensationalism because you said we should talk. Ain't nobody got time for you, bro. Mm-hmm. Go start your own stuff and move along. It's that simple. But here, we don't got time for losers. We don't. Yeah. Suckers and losers. We don't have time for those. Try again. In any case, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Yep.
We have a A lot to talk about, and I mean a lot to talk about. A lot. There's a whole lot going on in the world of politics today, and in the world in general. We may end up tackling that whole outage that happened in Paris after they did the Last Supper thing. That might be a good conversation to have and see exactly what the
it should be interesting because, like I said, it really ties into CrowdStrike too, and how everything kind of is coincidental when things are happening, right?
Distraction.
Yeah.
But also agenda. If you watch who it was in front, it was all drag, right? What's happening all over America? Drag.
Do you want to cover the opening ceremony too?
That's what we're talking about.
That's part of it.
Okay. All right, got it.
It's all a matter of what they want to have pushed in front of people, and they know how to do it. They really do. They know exactly how to do it, and they put the right people, which is why I see Kamala going on all these RuPaul and drag shows, because that's her goal. It's not about blacks. It's about the LG. Same like her master, Lord Commander, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
All right. Elect him because he's black. Meanwhile, he ain't doing jack for y'all. Yeah. That's how stupid they believe black people are. And the black women are proving that they're that stupid. Yeah, whatever. In any case, y'all can move on and do something else. We'll be back on Wednesday. I was gonna say something else, but I ain't gonna say it.
Caught yourself.
Oh man, look, I got that close. I got that close to letting it drop, but I didn't. I pulled it back. Y'all should be proud of me.
Where?
Hey, I'm learning. I'm getting there. Now that ain't gonna last for very long. So, but we'll catch you guys later on Wednesday. I'll be back in the morning on Straight Talk.
What's the hooch doing?
The hooch is still going. The hooch isn't going.
No.
It's all transitional right now.
Okay, cool.
So we'll catch up with you guys on tomorrow, Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you Wednesday. Peace.
Or.